got the history of the Mendez family goes back even before my time in rodeo. Give us a quick rundown.
Well, we were talking a little bit. My grandfather and all of his brothers. Frank Mendes is my grandfather, and there were six brothers in California, and they did a little bit of everything. I know they stayed on the West Coast quite a bit, but I would always get photographs and a little history where they would maybe come down to Dublin and get involved with Gene Colbert and load up on the train with all the other cowboys and head to Boston and New York. My grandfather was a real tough bull rider in in the 40s, 44, 45 during World War II, and I just love to hear all the stories. My dad rodeoed a little bit, Alan Mendes from Reno, Nevada, and of course my little brother rodeo. So I guess there's something runs in the blood.
How did you choose bull riding over the other events?
Well, I know that's a good question. I'm a pretty big guy, 6'1" in high school, and as I got out of high school, I was a little skinnier back then. But bull riding to me, I believe was something that I liked because of the individual side of it. I roped and got on some bucking horses in high school, and bareback and so forth, but didn't really want to haul a horse around. But to me, bull riding was, if something was to go wrong, it was totally on my shoulders. You can't blame the bull, the gate man, or anything like that. So to me, it was a lot of proving myself to me, and I didn't know it at the time, Larry, but I had a lot of low self-esteem, and this came from a dysfunctional family and things like that. So growing up, really you can portray your image of who you are as an athlete in the arena. So that's why we have Western Harvest today.
Tell us about Western Harvest.
Well, that is our ministry. When I was rodeoing, I used to put this little saying on the side of my rigging bag. It just simply said, spurring with Jesus, and I kind of had a relationship with the Lord that was kind of in and out. There was a defining moment in my testimony, in my life, in 1994 when Brent Thurman was killed at the NFR. We were talking about that earlier. I realized I wasn't as invincible as I thought I was. So my relationship with the Lord got really serious, and my walk. I met my wife. I've been married for 18 years, 3 beautiful children who you've met. But Western Harvest was incorporated in 2003 as a 501c3 ministry, as an outreach ministry, and we've done some exciting things. We are right now building a headquarters in Weatherford. We've conducted a Christian bull riding league that really evolved out of our training camps. As you know, I go around the nation and I teach young men how to ride bulls, but it's deeper than that because for me, when I was riding, I needed a mentor. Sometimes rodeo becomes a father to us, but I realize today that a lot of these young men that want to go and wear the buckles that you and I have, and they're just searching on the inside. And so as a ministry, you can give them a foundation of character, who they are in that relationship, and then give them the skills they need in the arena too. So we get a chance to do a number of things.
What do you think about our government and what they've done with religion in schools and so many other areas of our society?
Well, that's a real open-end question for sure, but we're blessed. We homeschool our children. It may not be for everybody. In our situation with me rodeoing and being involved in ministry and doing a lot of work on the road, my family can be with me. That's predominantly one thing. But what they've done is, just really taken a lot of the founding fathers of what some of the doctrine, the beliefs that they, who we are as a country. And when they took that out, it just exposes to a lot of anything, a lot of mediocrity and a lot of wavering in your beliefs. And I believe that when God is taken out of school and out of politics and government, and we're forced to make decisions that is what built this country, things can get challenging. I think sometimes we are just reaping what we've sown. So we've got to get back to it, and that's why I love working with Donna Lynn.
So how do you think we can get back to it?
Well, that's a good question, Larry. I think most importantly, we've got to work together. A minute ago we were talking about Western Wishes and Western Harvest, kind of just being out in the same playing field but not working together. And I love Donna Lynn's heart and her gifts and her skills and talents to be able to bring Chris Cox together, yourself, others, Pat Day, a lot of good men. And when good men come together and stand up for what's right, it's going to be a trickle effect. and other people can begin to role model or pattern after that.
Is Western Harvest Ministries directed more towards people who have a chance to enjoy the Western culture and lifestyle, or is it for anybody who wants to find out more about the real deal?
Well, you know, there's days when we're taking young men into the bunkhouse, such as the setting here today, and sometimes we look like maybe a Cal Farley's Boys Ranch, where we're really trying to help young men. And then there's other days when we're doing clinics. But I think it's if you're going to reach the youth, you've got to restore the family. So mom and dad are always in the wings if they're around. A lot of the young men that we work with don't seem to have a father figure, much less godly principles in their life. So we hope that if you enjoy the Western lifestyle, you'll come out to an event, and we always want to build the family up through what we do. The sport, as you know, with endless hours on the road and exposure to a lot of temptations, is devastating on young men that don't know who they are. So we believe in the family being whole, and then that the children will naturally be whole as well.
So your goal as a young bull rider was to, I'm sure, to win a world championship. And after Brent's untimely death, how many years before you won that championship?
Well, that happened in 1994, and up until that point, you know, I'd been to the finals a few times. That was my third year in '94, and you know, I just knew when I saw the draw that day in the 10th round that I had a little bull that I was certainly going to ride, and I was going to win the world. I mean, there was no doubt. Seeing that tragic moment and putting myself in my friend's shoes to realize that he'd never have breath again in his body to accomplish it, that day walking out as a runner-up was the day that I believe I became a world champion. But I had to wait the next 3 years, and the next 3 years, as we talked about earlier, was when I started seeing myself as a champion and not focusing on just my goals, but trying to work with the kids and do things that I was waiting to accomplish something in order to do that. And it was just the opposite. So God really developed me as an athlete, as a world champion those 3 years, and those 3 years are way more important than '97. '97 was just kind of an outward crowning of what was going on the inside all along.
How can people find out more about Western Harvest Ministries?
We too have a website, just westernharvestministries.com. A lot of information there. We're working on some motion pictures and things. We just believe that if we're going to reach the kids, we've got to use every tool, every resource, every ranch, every good person working together. And that's what we're going to try to work with Donna Lynn on, is pulling people together with that same goal of making a difference in this world, and especially for the kids.
When I grew up and would go to the movies, it was Roy Rogers, Gene Autry, good versus bad. Things have changed in that industry. What effect do you think that has on young people in this day and age compared to people that grew up during that era back then?
Man, a whole lot. I'm glad that you brought that up. You know, again, going back to roots, my grandfather was a great bull rider, but on my mother's side of the family, my great-great-grandfather was William S. Hart, silent screen movie star actor. And you're right, there was a lot of good and evil. Today, I think because of multimedia, it's always constantly in front of children's face, through television, through internet, iPhones. Everywhere we go, we're surrounded with the thoughts being made for us, you know, malls, music. And so if you're going to grow in your relationship with Lord, you have to have hearing ears and a humble heart. And so today, for these kids entertaining themselves with violence and things that are acceptable, sex outside of marriage and violence and drug use, then it becomes a role modeling of that, and it's almost acceptable to them, and then they're forced to have to be in those roles. And what we want to do is go back to those old westerns where good will prevail by doing what's right at any cost.
Scott Mendes, you're a champ.
Thank you, Larry.